we feel really obliged for Vyasa Bhagavan and also Sukha Maharshi to be able to impart beautiful knowledge, wisdom-ridden knowledge, that we will be able to monitor our life appropriately. After all, life is a big opportunity whereat we have to accomplish many more things, and all the time that we are healthy, energetic, and with all our limbs intact, energies live, we have to acquire some knowledge about Paramatma, because he is the place whom we have got to reach. That is why all that what we have acquired, we enjoy and all that will have to be left off here. Then ante moksham avapnuyat bhuktva bhogan aseshena ante moksham avapnuyat. These are the two things. One, to enjoy the life to our full satisfaction with a tinge of moksha prayatna or moksha sadhana. Therefore, we have the great rishis like Sukha Maharshi, Vyasa Bhagavan, Narayana, Parikshit Maharajan, and all these people, they stand as questioners, also providers of answers. See that the life purpose coming into upon the world is being rewarding, and that's why in that journey we are in the Saptasati, Bhagavata Saptasati, at the sloka number.
We are currently in 2011, 211.
In the 211th stanza, and where the speech of Sukha Maharshi is being depicted in the Bhagavata Saptasati. See, they have been actually that Parikshit Maharaja has put one question into 192 and 193 slokas, and asking about the aprayas chittam and all that, because people are doing again and again papam, because we are not contented with one papam or two papams. They constantly come and grab our time, but we may not suffer the effects of papam in this birth or immediately or insta, but it will be there. That papa rasi, karma rasi has got to be totally reduced. And we do something to some extent the reducing of our sins, but Paramatma will help us to totally cancel and give you eligibility, attainment of moksham. That's exactly what the Krishna is telling. So in the sloka number 211, before that we see that in the 207, Sukha starts his conversation, Etena evahi aghono anya krutam syat aghanishkrutam yada narayana iti jagada chaturaksharam. So Narayana, what is that? Chaturaksharam. It has got 4 syllables, 4 aksharas, and that if anybody recites, that will be providing aghanishkruti. That is whatever mistakes and commitments and follies and for aparadhas we have done, all that will be vetoed and removed. And moreover, sarveshamapi agavatam idameva sunishkrutam nama vyaharanam vishnoho yataha tad vishayamatihi. So here 2 options are given by Sukha, that one can recite or utter the name Narayana, or if they are not able to utter the name Narayana, at least you try to remember, you memorize the name in your memory. That mati, vishaya mati means you should keep your constant thought on Narayana, because when you are working, you may not be able to utter loudly, but at least in the heart of hearts, we can keep. That's why in Bhagavad Gita, 7th chapter also, Krishna gives you wonderful solution. What he says that karma, you do it, but when, see, yoga is important. Mam anusmara yuchyacha. So that these are the 3 points. Mam anusmara, you keep on repeating my name in your mind of minds. You know, mind is one. There is also mind in the mind. That's what people say. So that's what we call antarbuddhi, antaratma, antarmanaha, so there is another basing sheet of everything that we are utilizing. What mind we are using is only superficial mind, which is fickle, which is liable for all attractions. But the strong mind is there, which will be determined and which will not vibrate easily. That's exactly what we call as, what is termed as chittam. So chitta suddhihi, and chideka, chidakasha, and chit is rasa, chit is Paramatma. That's why chideka rasa rupini. You understand, Parameswari, eka, chideka rasa rupini means she is the rasa, goddess sitting in that. And if at all the chit rasa, you want to give a forum for that for understanding, it is a roop, it is a Lalita Parameswari or Devi or Adishakti Swarupini. Therefore, Vishnoha Nama Vyaharanam, number 1. Second one is Tad Vishayamati, trying to devote our mind, inner mind, towards the consciousness of the Paramatma. Though you may say, I did it, I have to do it, I have to do it. All these things are one thing, but when you are able to acknowledge, submit everything to Narayana, that's a part of Nishkruti or pious Prayaschitta. See, Nishkruti is what we all want, because we cannot have always consciousness to avoid mistake. It will be happening because known sins are there, unknown sins are there, but all of them have got to be removed, and only Paramatma knows. That's why Jagadeka Sakshine Suryaya Namaha. See, you say Jagad Sakshi. That is, we cannot hide Agni. We cannot we cannot avoid Agni, because see, you can't hide Agni, because Agni will burn you in no time. Therefore, it's all like that. Everything is open. And then in the 210 sloka, we have got what again he says, Arer Nama Padaihi Udahrutaihi Tad Uttama Sloka Gunanu Lambakam. So Nishkruti is being talked about to get us purity. And again, Harer Nama, the very name. Nama also means the Guna Kirti of Narayana. And that sloka or kirti and guna, if you remember 1 or 2, that's why we always say Vyasaya Vishnu Rupaya. So Vishnu Rupaya, Vishnu Rupaya. When you say that, Vishnu Swarupam and also the Vidya Pradata Swarupam, both are the same. That's why Uttama Sloka Gunanulambanam Lambakam. These are all things that we have got to do. Now we go on with the 211 slokam. Please repeat. Sanke, one time is enough. Sanketyam parihasyam va parihasyam.
Sanketyam parihasyam. Sanketyam parihasyam.
Vastobham hedanameva cha.
Vastobham henameva vevat va. Vastobham helanameva va.
Vaikuntha nama grahanam.
Vaikuntha nama grahanam. Vaikuntha nama grahanam.
Asheshagaram viduhu.
Asheshagaraham viduhu. Asheshagaraham viduhu.
Ashesha aghaharam viduhu.
Ashesha agaharam viduhu. Ashesha agaharam viduhu.
Agaharam. It's not dirgham.
Sorry,
Agaharam.
sorry. Agaharam viduho
Yathagadam viryatamam.
yathagatam viryattamam yathagatam viryatam
Upayuktam yadruchaya.
upayuktam yadruchaya upayuktam yadruchaya
Ajanatopi atmagunam.
ajanatopi atmagunam ajanatopi atmagunam
Kuryan mantropi udahrutaha.
kuryan mantropi
Udahrutaha.
udahutah
So in these two slokas, see, these are all the agaharam viduho. When even Sukha Maharshi will say a quotation, always he does not take things under his responsibility. So when he says viduhu is a quotation. So in traditionally, all sages have given a scope. What is that? Sanketyam, Parihastyam, Vastobham, Hedanam, Vaikuntha Namagrahanam. So these are all the things that will make us eligible to get rid of immense sin that we have been committing. Sanketyam, that is symbolism, or take everything symbolic regarding the Paramatma and our actions and all that. Symbolic actions also are recommended. Then Parihasyam, trying to talk loosely about them, Parihasa, and Vastobham, that is talking about the existence, it's talking about the Paramatma with respect to the realities, and or Hedanamevacha, or hating, criticizing, and that is also one. And finally, Vaikuntha Namagrahanam, or take the name of the Vaikuntha, the residential quarters or place of Narayana, and all these things will add for the attainment of moksham or moksham. And when we want to get moksham, all our sins should be destroyed or vanished. We vanish with our efforts and puja and tapas a little. Paramatma will cancel the remaining balance. That is, residue also goes. And here, one need not always be kind and appreciating and following the Paramatma. There could also be a scope that they can hate Paramatma. You know, Hiranyakasipu, Hiranyaksha, Bali Chakravarti, that Shishupala, well, these are all the people who got emancipation by hating the god Narayana. And that is, and so we have got Parihasyam, Hedanam are two negative things. But Sanketyam and Vastavam, Vaikuntha Namagrahanam is positive. So your attitude may be positive or negative, which will be congenial and convenient for you, for which you are destined. Some people are born only to criticize others, but that is no difficulty. But so there is a scope and hope for every kind of behavior upon the earth. So, but in any case, whatever way you take up, positive or negative, but useful, then that will be helping you to emancipate yourself. How, like in the next sloka, he says, Yathagadam viryatamam upayuktam yadruchaya ajanatopi atmagunam kuryan mantropi udahrutaha. And see, yathagadam viryatamam upayuktam yadruchaya ajanatopi atmagunam kuryan mantropa udahrutaha. So illustrated by the mantras or proper thought, if you make it absorbed in your gunas, that also will be a kind of support for our aghanashanam. Sayeva, please repeat, Sayeva viplavita sarva dharmo.
1 minute, sir. स एव विप्लवित सर्वधर्मो स एव विप्लवित सर्वधर्मो
दास्याः पतिः गर्ह्य कर्मा
दास्या पतिः पतितो गर्ह्य
गर्ह्य कर्मा
कर्मा
निपात्यमानो निरये हतव्रतः
निपात्यमानो निरये हतव्रतः निपात्यमानो निरये हतव्रतः
सद्यो विमुक्तो भगवन्नाम गृह्णन्
सद्यो विमुक्तो भगवन्नाम गृह्णन् सद्यो विमुक्तो भगवन्नाम गृह्णन्.
So you remember this is a dialogue between Yamabhatas, Yama and Narayana. So Narayana, idea is being represented by Shuka Maharshi, and he is giving at the Prayana Kala, you may be having a very objectionable behavior all through your life, but at a very later stage, we may adopt to some spiritual practice or some religiosity or some wisdomful thinking and act. So at the end of the time of our life, that also will be commuted to give you marks, to give you moksha. You see, if you attend interview, you will be there under consideration. If you write the examination, you will be under the consideration. Therefore, that mature act and or participation or attempt is important. That's why Sayeva Viplavita Sarvadharmaha Dasya Patihi Patitaha Garhya Karma. This Ajamila, you remember, whatever has been done by him, he was very active and energetic and living. It was all Garhya Karma. Garhya Karma means objectionable activity. So he's a Brahmin, Vaidika Kulanlo Puttinavadu, Manchi Brahmudu, Sadachara Sampattu Kalinavatunde Kulanlo Putti, Yakargo Bayin Tarvata, he got attracted to the other ladies and he spent most of his time there only. And so nobody can appreciate a Brahmin losing his principles and losing the dharma. Sasnanam, Sandhya, Japa, Homa, Dhyana, Puja, Parayana, these are all the various forms of religious discipline. At least one of them should be adopted, something like Shankara telling in 27th sloka in Saundar Lahari that Pradakshinam, and so Dhyanam, and 13 modes of worship he gives. And Paramatma is pleased any mode that you adopt, and that will be pleasing to him. Here also, Nipatyamano nirayehi ata hatavrataha. Vrata is discipline. So he lost his discipline as a Brahmin. So when a Brahmin loses his discipline, he would be called as a Brahmana Bruva. By birth is a Brahmin, but never by practice. There are many people, even Sagaraja said, Modati Kula Judagutu Sutra Karmalu Nanatchu Duduku Kala Nanne Dora Kodaku Brochuno. Look at the beautiful expression, rightfully said by Sagaraja. See, Modati Kulaja means in a prominent Brahmin community, born. But Sutra Karmalu, the Sutra Karmas we are doing, not having any reference to Dharma and other things, to such type of person, he is a Duduku. But that Duduku Gala Manushana Kuda, the Paramatma, Dorakoduku, because Rama is a Dorakoduku, he is the son of a great person like Dasaratha. So Dorakoduku, Manchi Buddhuto, he will be able to veto that. Therefore, Dasya Patihi has taken to the very evil ways and adopted to fallen women. That's why it is called for a Brahmin, it is a Garhya Karma. It is not a Stuti Purvaka Karma, it is a condemnable activity.
Sir, I
And
have a question, about Ajamila character itself. Though he has not followed Brahmin Kula Dharma, correct? Still, God was very kind enough to, bless him and give him a moksha. Is it only to say, at the I mean, suddenly, how, God was only showered his grace on him, but not to all of the people, na? So is it
so,
only as an example he has this story comes in Bhagavatam?
yeah, Ajamila is a worst example and a hope. And such people are many, many in the world and in all generations of people. But Narayana is Achyuta, changeless. Therefore, I think his name is so powerful that even at the Prayana time, if anybody remembers his name, he is, and that is the unmeasurable compassion, aprameyatvam of Narayana. But another point is nobody can start continuously doing bad deeds. People get tired easily, quickly. See, to do good thing, it's always good and you will not feel anything. But to do a bad, wicked activity, it is hard for us to continue with that, for anybody. But that kind of bad habits will happen at the second of time. Could happen. That is when the time comes to retire, the evening walk of life, for example. At that time, people lose when they get money, when they have good health, when there are opportunities. There are people to go astray. That's exactly what our serials to show us number of times. So there is always scope to skip the right path. But at least you may be able to catch the right path little at the end. But ending is important than any other thing. That's why when you see a essay, you see at the concluding paragraph more than the all paragraphs. ఏం కంక్లూడ్ చేసినాడు వీడు అని చూస్తారు కదండి. So the concluding part of life is most important, where everybody gets a complete comprehensive knowledge. Oh, he has done some mistakes earlier, but ultimately his conclusion or answer is quite good. So give him attestation. So like that, nipatyamanaha niraye. Niraya means narakaloka. తప్పులు చేసిన కొద్దీ నరకలోకానికి వెళ్తుంటాడు. ఈవెన్ ఫర్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్ రావణ ఈజ్ ఎ మహా తపస్వి, బట్ ఈవెన్ he knows that he should die with Hari, because Rama who came with Hari, and he must also find exit. How long he can be a rascal? Difficult. And only Sita is only a car. He has no guts to kill or meddle or touch Sita or anything. He only gently or talking to Sita and expressed his desire not only to Sita but also in the open court when all the officers are joining. And Ravana had not got any nachke or siggu to talk about his attraction towards Sita and asking all the people to fight that he will get Sita convinced to marry him. And all Rakshasas, they are the followers of Ravana, they followed him. Though some persons like Vibhishana or Kumbhakarna or Pracheta, there are some good ministers to Ravana. Don't think that all are bad. So he turned deaf ear, including Mandodari. At the second time, when he was going to fight with Ravana, she tells, no, the fellow who has come is Narayana, Sakshat. So don't go, your end comes up. But Ravana does not listen to. So that's what the last time of the conclusion of life is most important. Generally, we ask anybody dying, how did he die? We are interested not how did he live. We ask, oh, ಕೊನೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಏನಾಯ್ತು ಅವನಿಗೆ, ಏನು ಫೇಲ್ಯೂರ್ ಆಯಿತು, ಏನು ಆಕ್ಸಿಡೆಂಟ್ ಆಯ್ತಾ. So we are all bothered about the last strip of the life. That's what we call nipat, that's what we call prayana kala. So Paramatma is there at A and at B. That's why you say Keshavaya Swa Korege Krishnaya Namaha. So Keshava Nama, Keshava is water floating, birth generative, maintenance, supporting is all Keshava Swarupam. And Madhava Swarupam is trying to attach himself, anybody, to the family life, worldly life, pleasures, pressures, and all that. So after Madhava, you remember Narayana. Okay? So Narayana and all other names are there. Ultimately, it is Krishna because the Krishna Sabda is Akarshana. The Krishna will attract you both to heaven and hell. So how, unless you remember him, you will not be going to heaven. If you remember him, you will not be, you will not, you will go, if you don't remember him, go to hell. So this is a really a ticklish, Vedantic, unsettled answer or question to this kind. That's why it is a dharma. So ಕೊನೆ ಟೈಮಲ್ಲಿ ಜ್ಞಾಪಕ ಮಾಡಿಕೊಂಡ್ರೆ ಮೋಕ್ಷ ಬರುತ್ತೆ ಅಂತ not only one, everybody echoes this point. Even Sankara tells prayana kale. So when the body is on the journey to go away, leaving the body, then at least at that time, in Narsimha Satakam, that Narasimha says that I may not remember to utter your name when I am oppressed by the last experience of my life exit. Then now itself I am taking this Namasparana as a wealth and support me. So like that we have got, I think that Bhagavan Nama Grunhan Sadhyaha Vimukto Bhavati. It is an immediate solution for those people who are almost on the verge of falling into Narakalokam. That's what exactly happened to Ajamila. And there are so many bhaktas also who got liberated because of their last strip of their life. And that is to say, we cannot we cannot testify these kind of statements of Narayana or any Maharshis, but there are people who experience the kind of emancipation or liberation because they take the name at the end. So Narayana Spruti is important, and that's what Narayana himself is speaking through Sukha Maharshi, that we may be having Garhya Karma because we are all born because of karma, and we have got prarabdha karma, and then we have got all that prarabdha karma has got to be experienced. Prarabdham bhogato nasyet. Whatever is set on, unless you enjoy, it will not go. So you must find the end for that. So to find the end for that, we are all struggling. All our activity is being guided and monitored by Paramatma, and there will be always scope for that. We may mark the time, we may mark the timetable, but we are not able to follow some time, but there will be some other time fixed for that. If you apply 80 jobs, you may get interview for 1 or 2, 3, 4 jobs, or you may not get interview at all. So there is always the unknown divine force working through that. And we are nobody, but exactly we have to follow. That's why Patitaha Vimuktaha. These are the two words which are used in 213 sloka. That Patita is to fall down into Niraya, into difficulties, and the Stotra or Gunagana and all that activity that we are behaving in our life is only helping us to lift us up. So of self-upliftment, self-enlightenment, self-emancipation, self-delight. So we always refer to that self. That self has got to be always taken into account, and that exactly what we call as consciousness. And that consciousness levels have got to be monitored by us. And if you are not conscious, we will be committing mistakes. If you are alert and conscious, then so that consciousness is Paramatma. All people agree. But at what level of consciousness we are there is exactly depending upon the yoga to which you take. That's exactly the entire thesis of Krishna in the entire Bhagavad Gita. What Krishna has taught Arjuna, Arjuna has become so dull and clean slate in his head that he refused to work, not in the house, but in the warfield where the action is important. At action spot, Arjuna refused. Imagine the crisis that Krishna felt it, because Krishna is Avatara Purusha, but Arjuna considered Krishna only as his friend, not as a divinity of only. And even if that divinity form also forgotten by him, because he is busy in the war. But in case of Bhima, neither he had Viswarupa Darsanam nor too much associateship with Arjuna, with Krishna, but he had all that vigor and grace and all that of Krishna. So there is a difference between brothers, Arjuna and Bhayama, Ravana and Vibhishana, Ravana and Kumbhakarna. So Kumbhakarna worked for Ravana because he felt it is duty. 6 months he allowed to sleep. 6 months he allowed to eat. Which brother will do that kind of work? But Vibhishana's case is different. Therefore, he had independence. He had guts to take independence. Swatantra, he could take it because it was under his name, that's why it is said that you advise people to be online, to be on work, to be on righteous path. If you do not honor that, what anybody can do it? 1,000 men can lead a horse to the water, but if it does not drink, how can people make it drink water? So like that, so what in life we want is the patitattvam is normal and vimuktatvam is extraordinary. Therefore, and moreover, you see, viplavita sarvadharmaha, viplavita sarvadharma means you reject to follow all dharmas. ಊಟ ಮಾಡಿದ ಮೇಲೆ ಕೈ ಕಾಲು ತೊಳ್ಕೋಬೇಕು, ಯು ನೆವರ್ ಡೂ ಇಟ್. ಆಚಮನ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು, ಯು ಡೋಂಟ್ ಡೂ ಇಟ್. ಕೂತ್ಕೊಂಡು ಊಟ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು, ಒಂದು ಕಡೆ ಕೂತ್ಕೊಂಡು ಊಟ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು, ಯು ಶುಡ್ ಸೆಟ್ ಅಟ್ ಒನ್ ಪ್ಲೇಸ್. ಇಲ್ಲ ನಡ್ಕೊಂಡು ಊಟ ಮಾಡ್ತೀನಿ ಅಂತ ಬಫೆ ಮಾಡ್ತೀನಿ ಅಂದರೆ ಅದು ರಾಕ್ಷಸಾಸು ಪಿಶಾಚಾಸು ಈಟ್ ಮಾಡೋದು ಅಂತ ನಮ್ಮ ಧರ್ಮಶಾಸ್ತ್ರ ಹೇಳುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ ವಾಟ್ ಹ್ಯಾಸ್ ಬೀನ್ ಸೇಡ್ ಫಾರ್ ಎ ರೈಚಿಯಸ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಹೆಲ್ದಿ ಲಿವಿಂಗ್, ಇಫ್ ಯು ಫಾಲೋ, ಯು ಆರ್ ದೇರ್. If sayev viplavita, viplavana means floating water, floating mass anta heltaralva, it is never constant. All floating mass means floating population, we talk it. When you go to majestic Mysore road, then you see all floating population. It is hardly possible for us to pierce through people on the pavements. Now I don't know, but then so many people are there walking in the majestic streets and all that, because the space limited, more people, and that pierce through the people. So that thereby people don't care, even if they hit somebody with leg, they don't namaskara, they do it. Viplavita, they neglect, they ignore, they don't care. Sarvadharmaha, the Sarvadharma is an important word. So in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna in 18th chapter has told us, Sarvadharman parityajya mamekam saranam vraja. The same point which you see in Bhagavad Gita is being found also in Bhagavatam, that Sarvadharmaha viplavitopi and Sarvadharman parityajya. Look at the parallelism there. There you have got parityaga, here you have got the viplavita. So viplavita and parityaga, there are two different things. Viplavita means floating out. That means they don't stay. What is floating is not constant. And so you just allow to dharma to go. You don't want to catch dharma. See, in the river, so many things come floating. Some you catch, some you may catch, some you don't catch at all. So that's not viplavita. So you have some dharma you may do, some dharma you may not do. But what this Ajamila did was, at least Narayana, though not intentional, but Sabdocharana is taking place in his mouth. So that Sabdocharana itself has got vibrant energy, positive, and it has reached the kivi of the Dutas who happen to be traveling at that juncture in the air. And Yamabhatas are already there on the ground to draw out his life. So there was a contrasting Kakataliya Nyaya, Yamabhatas trying to grab his life, and Vishnu Bhattas looking, and then Narayana was the one which brought them. Let me say that there are unknown fortunes working upon us, giving us surprises. So, Sarvadharmaha viplavitaha is here. Sarvadharman parityajya there. And Bhagavan namagrunhan vimuktaha is Bhagavatam. And in Bhagavad Gita, Mamanusmara yujjata. Sarvadharman parityajya mamekam sharanam vraja. So that sharana is that is equal to vimuktatvam or namasprunhan. Sharana and grunhan, these are the two common words. Here you have to catch. there you have to surrender. So Arjuna has to surrender, but in case of Ajamila, there's nothing like surrendering because his state is different. So he is able to take the name of Narayana. And therefore, that this kind of smarana or granhan, catching that, is niraye hataurakaha vimuktaha. So Narayana is such a easy principle for us that many people don't remember the name Narayana and think that they are doing all those things. ನಾನೇ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ, ನಂದು ಇದು, ನನ್ನ ರಾಜ್ಯ, ನನ್ನ ವಸ್ತುಗಳು, ఈ నాను ఎంతవరకు వెళ్ళిపోతుందో అంతవరకు నీవు ఖాళీ అయిపోతాం. So long that's exactly what is in Rudram. Even in Rudram, so many professions, so many things are there. For all those professions, the depriver, the controller, the monitor is Rudra. Unless what you love most is taken away, you can become Vairagi or Sannyasi or Vaira. If supposing what things you have got, if you are still there, you are busy and you are not able to improve. Maneli on sofa idre, you can't buy another sofa because there is no place for another sofa unless you get rid of this sofa. So like that, here also there is that we have to make place to Narayana, and Narayana is such an anugraha, that's why is a Parama Karuna Varidhi, and therefore we cannot accept it. So this is Bhagavatam. What does it teach? Aya, you take the name of Narayana. That will relieve so many things to us. Known, unknown. And if not today, tomorrow also, there will be the Parayana, Yagna, Puja, Phala, we will be reaping it. If not, you are able to reap it. Your children, your friends, your connected people, they will reap your punya. Our ತುಂಬಾ ಪುಣ್ಯ ಮಾಡಿದಾರ್ರಿ, ಅವ್ರ ಪುಣ್ಯ ನಮ್ಗೆ ಬಂದಿದೆ. So this kind of acknowledgement is there. Therefore, this Vishnu Duta, Maharshi is telling that Narayana Sabda itself is more potential and it is omnipresent. So maybe our character, because people are born not always for good behavior. There is also a lot of rough behavior among people, Rain beku, if rain comes, only sunshine come, there won't be good crops. For good crops, there should be also rough weather. And rough weather, good weather, medium weather, all that put together, we get the blossoming. Unless there is Ratri, you can't get flower blossoming in the morning. In the evening, it will be bud. In the morning, it will be a beautiful, fragrant flower. So the conclusion is 224, please recite. Itinaha sumahabhaga. Itina sumahabhaga.
It is, we were in 213, na, sir?
Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry, correct. Yes, sorry. Now 213. Natah param karma nibandha kruntanam. Please repeat. Natah param.
Natah param karma nibandha krutanam. Natah param karma nibandha krutanam.
Mumukshatam tirtha padanu kirtanat.
Mumukshatam tirtha padanu kirtanat. Mumukshatam tirtha padanu kirtanat.
So here, Narayana is a tirtha pada. That's what Rishi is telling. Tirtha pada means that which will make you to cross over the ocean, river. Tirtharu means they have crossed over so many things and reached the other shore. So Tirtharagidare. So the Tirtha padam is Narayana. And there is no other word. Natah param karma nibandha ninkrutam. Nibandha kruntanam is karma nasha. Karma vimukti. Nibandha is karma. Or balba or pasha or threads and ropes. Kruntanam means to cut off. So ನಮ್ಮ ಕರ್ಮಗಳನ್ನು ಕಟ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಕೃಂತನ is scissored out or cut ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ಅಂದ್ರೆ there is no other way out except utter the fame or the letters of Narayana in our own mouth. And from that, yen baratte andre mumutsatam. Mumutshata andre mokshaya, I mean, moksha ishta, moksha artham are those people who have got desire to get moksha or vimukti. For them, Narayana is a tirtha pada. And if you kirtana, if you repeat it number of times, Narayana, 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 a number of times you can keep on reciting, all that will add energy and punyam to us. And what would happen that Narayana Sabda Mahima is a big scissor that will cut down all the karmas that are binding us to be existent upon this world. So Nibandha andre tying up, something like Anjaneya Swami being tied up by Brahmastra. So the Brahmastra that was there tying Anjaneya temporarily because he obeyed it. And later on, all that Brahmastra ropes got untied. Then whatever ropes that these fellows have done, that only because Anjaneya had a purpose that he has to meet Ravana, the chief of all Rakshasas, and give him some advice and get some message from him. And so that he has given a chance to Ravana, whether he can correct. So always gods lend opportunities whenever possible that we can check our behavior. But if you ignore all those signals, then we'll be in trouble. Yes, actually our body also, your body gives us number of signals. Tallu baratte, kem baratte, fever baratte, etc. But if you take note of them, then we'll be repairing and continuing. That's why Tirtha Padanu Kirtana, to whom this kind of solution wanted, Mumutsatam. So Mocharthi, those who have got to have Prayaschitta and removal from the karma bandhas, to them Narayana Smriti is a wonderful solution because it's a tirtha. We can cross over the samsara nadi. Samsara is a nadi where you have got all things. We have nadis. That's why in samsara nadi tirtha we have to do it. So padanu kirtanat. In the 214, please repeat. Na yat punaha karma susajjate mano.
Na yat punaha karmasu sajjate mano. Na yat punaha karmasu sajjate mano.
Rajastamobhyam.
Rajastamobhyam. Rajastamobhyam.
Kalilam tatonyatha.
Kalilam tathonyatha. Kalilam tathonyatha.
So again, he is giving up. I have given you the name. Narayana is a Tirthapada, is a Kirtana. In fact, we have got so many names to Narayana. For example, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya is Dwadasakshara Mahamantra. Om Namo Narayanaya is Ashtakshara Mantra. We have got 16 letters. So whatever Namo Krishnaya is Panchakshara Mantra. So Om Namo Krishnaya or Namo Narayanaya, Om Namo Vasudevaya, Om Namo Jagannathaya. So all these are counted by the letters. And each letter is a Tirthapada. That's what we have got to learn today. Tirthapada means Taranaya, Namastaraya cha, Shankaraya cha, Taraya cha. The Tara Shabda is for Durga Parameswari, Rudradeva, Mahavishnu, and because they are the moksha karakas, they are the moksha pradaha. Not every other god, no other gods are eligible to give you moksha except Shiva, Shivani, and Lakshmi and Narayana. These are all they have got the highest power of benefit to grant for the devotees. Therefore, another thing is karma susajjate manaha punaha nayat. Supposing people do not adopt to rathas and activity connected to the karma, then what would happen if you don't remember God, if you don't do anything connected, still you continue in the same mire of activity, then what happened? Kalilam tatonyatha rajastamobhyam. Rajoguna, Tamoguna will operate upon them, and it will be adding more and more Kalilam. There's more and more sins to that. Therefore, if you keep on remembering the Narayana Sabda, you will be, your mind also gets cleaned up and develops inkling for some righteous activity. Righteous activity need not be only one or two things. There are Humpty number of ways out to go to moksha. That's why not only Namasmaranam, but other things. So all that Subha Karma, that's why you got Subha Karma, Asubha Karma, and Karma. So that's why the karmas also, the Shraddha, the karma depends upon Shraddha. And again, Bhagavad Gita, Krishna has divided Shraddha, Trayo, Vibhago, Nama. All karmas are again classified into Sattva, Rajo, Tamo, Guna. Therefore, Rajastamobhyam Kalilam Anyatha Tataha. So, if you are engaged with some positive activity in any manner, that there is a consciousness of Paramatma working upon us, then you will be a Sattvaguna Sampanna, then you will have a moksha, because we are only a temporary projectiles working upon the ground. And all projectiles cannot remain on the circumference a long time. When once the petrol or anything activity is over, that will have to sink back to the point of projection. So that for that we have to work out. That's how Vivekananda emphasizes everybody is a projectile, and there is a common point of projective, that's called center. So the same way Bhagavatam says, so Kalilam Tatonyatha. So concludingly, before Yama starts speaking to us, that Vishnu talk comes up, or Sukha Maharshi, because gods don't much talk. Why Krishna talks more, you understand? He is not only a god, but also a human being. He is a teacher, Acharya, Krishna Acharya. And that's why some Madhvas will be keeping their name as Krishna Acharya Grantha. So Krishna only then are. So Krishna is an Acharya because he is an advisor, and because he's a human, Madhava Avatara and Manava Avatara, both of them there. Therefore, so ultimately, Rishi, for example, I want to tell you that Lalita Sahasranamam is actually given by Vishnu to Agastya Maharshi. But when he asked Vishnu to tell about Lalita, that Vishnu says, no, I cannot teach you the Rahasya Lalita Sahasranama Stotram as Vishnu Bhagavan. I will become a Rishi, Hayagriva Rishi, and then I will impart that Upadesha to you. So you observe that statement by Vishnu telling to Agastya, so he becomes Agastya, Hayagriva Rishi, and gives him Hayagriva Uvacha. So only a Rishi has got that kind of power, because Rishis are greater than the gods. All gods are afraid of the Rishis, true Rishis. So Konigali, Hayali says, please repeat, Mriyamano Harer Nama Grunam.
Mriyamano Harer Nama Grunan. Mriyamano Harer Nama Grunan.
Putropacharitam.
Putropacharitam.
Ajamilopi Anuga Agat Muktim.
Ajamilopya agat muktim kimukta.
Kimuta Shraddhaya Grunan.
Krumuta Shraddhaya Grunan.
So it's a beautiful algebraic equation, you see. When it exists so much, what about the why? So here also, that Ajamila, though he has been bad in his conduct, behavior, etc., ignoring the sanctity, serenity of the birth he has got as a Brahmin, because Brahmin is a glass bottle. Though everybody is a blood bottle, Brahmin is all that blood is kept in a glass, in a sense that very delicate, fragile. Anything wrong done by a Brahmin will be easily attaching to him. That's why a Brahmin should be very, very careful that he should become a Brahma Varchas, and allow others also to get Brahmavarchas and Kshatriya Gunam and all that. Therefore, Brahmana is very important. In spite of that being a Brahmin, and he has taken to a garha or objectionable behavior and conduct. So, but at the time of Briyamana, at the time of his departure or dying, what he has done, Putrobacharitam Harer Nama Guna. The Upachara is the mission, Upachara is mission. So, the son was responsible to give father moksham because he was given the name Narayana. Just like it was Prahlada who gave darshana of Narayana in Narasimha Rupam and made his father to get moksha. So that's why when Narasimha Swami appeared, he was so happy. He thanked his son Prahlada. You showed me enemy searching whom I was tired. Any number of times I went to Vaikuntha to see my enemy and fight and kill him. But I was not, had no access. I did not know I was a failure. So ultimately I have asked you, where is your God? Then you said, everywhere he is there. Show me in this pillar. And then so Prahlada was a son who gave the opportunity to get moksha. Because doing all bad deeds, how long people can hold their body? When once the body is well used, when it becomes incapable of standing, sustaining, one should be ready to give it up. Because jirna yatha vasam sijirna nivihaya naraha anyat grunhati naro parani. Krishna has also told that jirna, because body becomes a jirna and don't have more and more love and attachment and all that. That's why in Mukundamala Stotra, it's all philosophical things. That Kulasekara Alvar says, when we have body, we have diseases and complaints. And so we take on to drugs and medicines and repair and continue our life. But you are such a capable person. You don't give us body at all. When there is no body, there is no disease, no medicine, nothing. I am in moksha with you. So that interesting idea in Mukundamala Stotra, that Kulasekara Alvar says, same thing. See, old wine in new bottle. Every Vedantic scholar and tapasvi is able to stress upon the efficacy of the Narayana Sabda or efficacy of our religious practices in new bottle for the purpose of marketing it. So, marketing technique is that you should make the package so attractive that people just wonder and buy it. See, at one time, I don't know now, all magazines used to have a female face sheet. And so people looked at the woman's face and then used to buy that at one time, but now different. So like that, there is something weakness to be demanding in people to make some to get the market done. Like that, here also it is said, Putrobacharitam Namagrunan. If not, the son had that name Narayana, probably Ajamila would have been very miserable in his later life. But fortunate, that's why in our India, at least, all people give the gods and goddesses names to their children and grandchildren. So that is very important. In fact, one day, some students told me, sir, you please call our registered numbers by number 1, 2, 3, 4, like that. Then we'll answer, we know our name numbers are in the register. Why do you spend more time? Then I said, no, it is a Sahasranama, Ashtottara, or something like that, to call your sweet, godly names. That itself is a punyam, though I spent 10 minutes in the classroom at the beginning of the time. So it only in police station elsewhere, they call numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, like that. No, it is a very sacred name. That's why Namocharana, Harer Nama Grunan, that's what it is called. When you take the name of the God, maybe anybody responsible for that, whether it's a putra or it is or enemy or anybody, if they are just a cause for that, then especially at the time they are burning Krishna, Shambho, people like that, then when that is the power efficacy of the Namas Narayana mantra, then in second line, Ajamilopi muktim adat. Even Ajamila, a righteous Brahman by birth, got mukti. Then what about other people who remember, who do all Devata Radhana, Namasmarana with Shraddha? That Shraddha may be Sattva Shraddha or Rajo Shraddha, Shraddha or Tamo Shraddha. But Shraddha is important. Like that, Srimata Brunan. So here, ultimately, Shuka Maharshi is the mouthpiece of Vishnu saying that Narayana is Tirthapada and Rajastamo, if you do not honor that, again we'll be stuck in that samsara mriya, and to get the remembrance of the name of the Lord, don't bother about the person responsible, maybe a son or anybody. So upacharana has been done by the son and so father. That's why all children want their parents to go happily and all that. So generally, that is the duty of the children or children born, that my father, my mother, my grandma, so they should always have a comfortable time. For that, they do a lot of service. Vruddha seva. Even Chamakuma also just said, Vruddham chame, Vruddhis chame, Yagnena kalpantam. So, Vruddham, old age. Vruddhi, care at the old age. So, care at the old age, or when your body is not capable of doing things, at that time, some dependence will be there, and children, friends, society, all people can help them to become, and that all happens Yagnena kalpantam. With a little practice of religious matters, that will be happening, and nobody will die so hopeless. In fact, if at all people are suffering, Mrityunjaya mantra is there, where when you recite Mrityunjaya mantra, it is just like on the back in the water. If the God wants to accept him, he will give him the relief. If the God wants to have him done some more punyam and papam, he will send back home. That's why we ask him bandhanat vimukti, roga vimukti, and amrita prapti. Roga vimukti means go home back. Or if you don't come back home, you will be getting the moksham or acceptance by the Paramatma. So there is always the two-way operative, but we want one way to be confirmed to us. That's exactly what Narayana through Shuka Maharshi advised. And for that, in the next session, we will be able to know what would be the reply and reflections of the Yama. In original Bhagavata, you have the beautiful episode, Ajamila Vyakhyana. In fact, Madhvas and other people, by just reading the Akhyana of Ajamila, people get a lot of moksham. Similarly, Muchukunda Akhyana also there. Muchukunda is the other opposite person. Muchukunda is a king, but he did penance against to Brahmadeva to ask for moksham. When Brahma came, he said, then Brahma said, no sir, I am not eligible to grant you moksham. Any other thing that you want, I can grant. Then he said, I don't want anything. Then Brahmadeva only opted, no, I will give you Nidra, Yoga Nidra, Narayana Smriti, and you go and beyond that and work for that. Then Vishnu will oblige you. It happened. That's why we always say that Muchukunda Varada Govinda. Krishna went in search of Muchukunda and gave him the moksham by making the Muchukunda kill that Kalanemi Rakshasa, whom he did not want to kill, but because that Kalanemi Rakshasa was not eligible to get moksham. Whomever Krishna kills, they go to moksham. But Krishna is also very much judicious in deciding whether to kill him or make him suffer and all that. So this way, this Bhagavatam is a very, very interesting, complex scientific text. That's why it's a Vedanta Shastra. Otherwise, it is called as the Hamsa Samhita. Hamsa means Himsa Rahityam. Hamsa is a Rushi Zulyam. Its behavior is just like Rushi, only grasping the milk, leaving the water, grasping the wisdom, neglecting. That's why it says, The same is reflected in this, that if you ignore the righteous practices, if you do not adopt any one of them in any way, then we can't help you. But if you just keep the name of the smarana of God inside you, that will add lot of power, enthusiasm, energy, and prosperity to you. So this is the communication that all rishis are in chorus, in unison, to advise the mankind upon the earth that they should not think that this world and life and activity is permanent, but it is only passing phase. As we are seeing age by age, 10, 10, 10, 10, 10. When 10th 10 strikes, we don't know whether we are there or not. But before that also, we see a lot of changes. But whatever changes are taken, then we have to be very much cautious. Now we look yesterday, tomorrow, 23rd August is my birthday. I have to say bye to 7. Now I have to enter 8. So I only pray with your best wishes and blessings that the 8 also should go like 7 to 8 and 8 to 9, 9 to 10, whatever, don't know. But 8 to 9 is also important, because from 8 to 100 or 10, people count it as Satayushim, Sampurnatvam. So anybody crossing 8 and going on and on, it is again the divine grace and bliss. I wish for everybody to have very active, energetic, powerful, contributory life, even after one crosses the numbers, say decades, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 5, 6, up to 5, we don't bother about our body. Or 6, afterwards all shantis come to. So for that, the Bhagavatam, that's why they say that Prataha Juta Prasangena Madhyanhe Stri Prasangataha Ratrau Chora Prasangena Kalo Gachati Dhimatam. In the morning, you have to read Bhagavat Mahabharata. Juta Prasanga means play, dice play. That is a lot of life. When you start playing and sport, you don't know the time pass. Your object is only to win the race. Therefore, it's called Prataha Mahabharata. Madhyane Stri Prasangata. When the afternoon comes, you should talk about the Ramayanam, where a woman removes the kama, removes the full stop and puts a kama until Ravana is done and Rama's Pattabhisheka takes place. And in the evening, Krishna is a big thief. Chora. Chora means thief. He will take away all that acquisitions of you, give you Vedantic knowledge, Vedantic buddhi, and therefore during the evening of life or evening time, we read Bhagavatam, which means that Bhagavatam will be a wonderful thing that slowly we can get rid of whatever we don't want or all these things. So anyway, Krishna and all these characters help us. But this kind of tinge of Bhagavatam will definitely help us to be very careful in monitoring, managing, and working with our lifeline. Thank you very much. We stop here, Amma. I have taken more time probably.